Teşekkürler ediyorum.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here and speak with all of you. Before beginning my talk tonight, I want to thank Mrs. Chorak and the entire staff of the United Brotherhood for inviting us here. My wife and I couldn't be happier with our hosts. We've been treated like royalty, which we really are not, but it's been a wonderful, loving experience so far. And I'm truly honored to address all of you tonight, and I feel that this is a real privilege to be here amongst all of you. I can feel the loving energy and the great wisdom that you have in the study of your materials. Today, I want to talk about the heart. As I'm sure many of you know, the heart is the foundation for all genuine spiritual paths. In fact, I feel that spiritual love and the human heart are the fundamental foundations of the knowledge book. In 1999, my wife and I purchased the knowledge book, and I began to read it to her. Finally, one day, she told me that if I wanted to continue reading her this book, this huge book to her, then she wanted her own copy. So I surprised her with her own copy of the knowledge book. As my wife and I began reading the knowledge book, we could feel the loving and compassionate magnetic energy radiating from the deeper dimensions of its words. Even though we had difficulty absorbing the many new items within it, there was no mistaking the powerful energy of the cosmos present, not only in the words themselves, but in the spirit of the words. Before I continue, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My mother bought me my first UFO book when I was 11 or 12 years old. I had seen it at a store, and I knew I just had to have this book. Reading this book started me on a spiritual path, which I am still following at age 64. During these many years, my life has been greatly enriched by the path of spirit that my heart told me to take. As I matured and continued to follow the path of the seeker, my studies evolved from reading about psychic phenomena, reincarnation, and life after death. And it proceeded to books on psychology, philosophy, meditation, and the sacred books of the world's religions. By the age of 24, I had entered a school of meditation, and I have been a meditator ever since. During our second reading of the knowledge book, my wife and I discovered a website in 2001 called The Wingmakers, and its teachings have engrossed my wife and me for almost 10 years. I downloaded some of the philosophy and found it to be of very high quality. While studying the philosophy, I noticed that the anonymous source of this material said that these teachings were encoded and had an effect on our DNA. I immediately thought about the coding of the knowledge book and its references to DNA and the essence gene. The contents of the Wingmakers website includes music, paintings, poetry, philosophy, and a novel based on the culture and teachings of the Wingmakers. All these materials are coded to awaken the unused portions of our DNA. Now, just who are these mysterious Wingmakers? Make Yes.
Doesn't work.
No.
Benim arkadan
Alright.
slide'ı değiştirebilir miyiz lütfen o zaman? Is this the right one?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. The material on the website describes them as the most ancient and original race of humans created by First Source, the name of God in the Wingmakers' vocabulary. Another name for the Wingmakers is the Central Race. They were the first individual entities created by First Source, and they lived in bodies of light beyond the physical plane. These higher dimensional beings were given the task of genetically engineering human bodies capable of incarnating in the space-time dimension of the universe. As a result, the billions of human souls or essence beings inhabiting higher dimensions were able to physically incarnate with emotional and mental faculties capable of surviving and evolving in the harsh medium of the space-time environment. When my wife and I became interested in the Wingmakers material, I began an email correspondence with the webmaster, Mark Hempel, a talented web designer and computer professional. As we corresponded, I soon learned that he had never met the individual who sent him the website materials. All he knew was that this person identified himself as James, with no last name given. In fact, James has vowed to remain anonymous and to stay out of public view during the course of his current mission, because he does not want the message to be overshadowed by the messenger. As Mr. Hempel and I discussed who this anonymous person might be, he wrote to James in the hope that he would give more information about himself. In a letter sent to Mr. Hempel and me, James identified himself as a master teacher who is not from our world, yet who is entirely human in form and who has incarnated on our planet many times. In fact, he has said that if we knew his names in history, we would recognize those names. But he has no intention of revealing any of this information so as not to detract from the message that he is here to bring to us. As Mr. Hempel and I discussed who this anonymous person might be, he wrote to James in the hope that he would give him more information. One, we each posed our own questions to James. About 10 days later, I received an email from Mr. Hempel with a PDF attachment. It was from James to me. In it, he answered all my questions, many of which were of an esoteric nature. At the end of it, James invited me to write back to him with a carefully crafted question about my personal mission in this lifetime. This first email with him began a 10-year relationship between James and myself. This led him to trust me as an editor of some of his writings in 2007. In 2009, he asked me to be the editor and commentator of his collected works of the past 10 years, and I accepted his offer. In a way, it was a deal I just could not refuse. And this collected works material should be available later this year as an e-paper. During the summer of 2001, James revealed through a public internet forum that he was a member of an ancient group of teachers called the Lyricus Teaching Order. In fact, he has said that this teaching order has existed for millions of years and has even existed before the earth was even inhabited by human beings. This order operates on a cosmic scale, and they are capable of living at the physical dimension as well as in other dimensions. There is a team of 12 to 24 Lyricus teachers on earth at this time, but James is the first one to introduce their teachings. This team works closely with the teaching brotherhoods of earth. Lyricus always works behind the scenes, remaining anonymous, so their presence does not upset the social order. So what exactly is their purpose, and why are they present on earth at this time? As explained on the website lyricus.org, which appeared on the internet in December 2003, the primary purpose of Lyricus is to guide human populations on planets scattered throughout the universe to the scientific discovery of the human soul. This discovery is called the Grand Portal, and it will result in a complete global reordering of religion, science, government, and culture. It will also lead to the science of multidimensional reality. To be clear, Lyricus is not here to do this work for us, but simply to provide guidance that will inevitably lead to this discovery, which is estimated to be close to the year 2080. The Grand Portal discovery is the apex of a species evolution because it leads to an era similar to the Golden Age and beyond. Here is a brief excerpt from the Lyricus teachings. The discovery of the Grand Portal is a comprehensive breakthrough that spawns the science of multidimensional reality. This new science is an all-encompassing system that is capable of restoring health and balance to the physical, emotional, and mental dysfunctions of the soul carrier, or the human instrument, which account for the dysfunctions of society at large. If anyone believes that human citizens living in the last quarter of the 21st century will be indifferent to this evidence, they are grossly mistaken, for Lyricus has carried out the protocols of this science on many worlds throughout the multiverse. The Grand Portal is the most vibrant of all discoveries because it is the thread that unifies the species, as well as the solution to the dysfunctions that have plagued humanity for generation upon generation. Unquote. Now, please note that the Grand Portal is the scientific discovery of the soul. According to James, religion will play no part in this discovery. And in fact, he says that the primary fields of science that will lead to this discovery are particle physics and DNA research and molecular biology. In fact, religion will be extremely resistant to this discovery because the irrefutable proof of the nature of the human soul, the multidimensional reality of the universe, and humanity's role in it will shake the theological foundations upon which all religions are based. On this topic, I want to make very clear that Lyricus is not a religious order. No, they are primarily focused on the arts and sciences. In other words, they are culture bearers and culture stimulators. In fact, James describes himself as an artist and a scientist. Here is a quotation from the English translation of the Knowledge Book. Only scientists, sages, and artists can get directly in touch with us. We do not call them. They come to us through their thought chains by creating and purifying themselves. So what does all this preliminary background have to do with the heart? And just as a quick aside, all the artwork that you're seeing up here was produced by James. The last slide that depicted the grand portal is actually the cover of a music CD that he has produced. He's produced all the poetry, all the music, all the visual images, a novel, and another novel that will be out shortly. These novels are mythological representations. They're actually like templates that Lyricus uses on different worlds that are tailored specifically to the human species that inhabit that particular planet. So these templates are adapted. Humanity learns an awful lot. In fact, it learns almost everything through mythological stories that contain nuggets of truth. And especially in this age, this computer age of the internet and a global communication system, much of the younger generation is not interested in going through huge books on philosophy and deep science. They're very quick to pick up information, but it needs to be in a form that these new generations are more adapted to instilling within their hearts and their minds. So what does all this preliminary background have to do with the heart? Well, in 2005, in the month of August, James released a paper entitled The Energetic Heart, Its Purpose in Human Destiny. This paper marked a major shift in James's work as he began to focus on the importance of the heart as a foundation for spiritual practice. Basically, this paper emphasizes that the development of love and practicing right human relations is more important than accumulating esoteric knowledge. This needs to be the foundation taught to humanity at this time in order for the world to evolve and survive and become a part of the cosmos. For just as the knowledge book teaches, we seekers of light must develop a loving attitude to others along with our studies if we are to be effective teachers of light. Another interesting detail about this paper is that it identifies 2012 as a time of dimensional shift for our entire planet. However, James and Lyricus do not describe this as an event that will occur when the Mayan calendar ends on December 21st, 2012. The dimensional shift, which the knowledge book acknowledges, is more like a wave of energy that we are already experiencing. And like a wave, it will gradually increase in size and power as it reaches its crest and makes an impact on our shores, and then slowly subsides. The important part of this analogy is that this wave, like a tsunami, will be so powerful that it will transform the land that it crashes against. That land is our planet, and this wave will alter life here forever. Those individuals still rooted in materialism, fear, prejudice, and mistrust of others will be severely challenged as their fear-based egos resist this shift to a more refined energy. In fact, I believe that this is already occurring. And I should add here that this shift will not necessarily cause physical catastrophes, but these are still possible. It all depends on the choices of humans to live from the heart and not so much from the mind. The wingmakers have said that your technology will not save you. Only love will. The technology is secondary, but everything about love must come first. According to James, the most effective way to avoid the anxiety and fear engendered by this shift is to develop our connection to the energetic heart, which is a portal to the soul or our essence. This alignment with spirit is in line with the spiritual energies of the shift, and consequently, its impact on our physical and our psychological lives will be positive as we experience an expanded state of consciousness. However, before we celebrate our good fortune, it is important to point out that we will still be challenged, just like the rest of humanity. After all, the spiritual path offers no guarantee that we will avoid suffering. In fact, many of us may be more sensitive to suffering because of our more refined energies. So at this critical time, we must remain courageous, strong, and dedicated to our chosen spiritual paths. In 2006, James released a follow-up paper about the heart entitled The Art of the Genuine, a Spiritual Imperative. Here is a quotation from this paper. The art of the genuine is the practice of coherence between the deeper awakening of the heart virtues within each of us and their faithful expression in the worlds of form. Those individuals who are awakened to the frequencies of the energetic heart within and practice the expression of these frequencies in their behavior and actions are practicing their highest purpose. In other words, it is absolutely necessary for us to become genuine human beings by allowing the intelligence of the heart to flow from us into everyone we meet. The knowledge book also teaches this. On page 67 of the English translation, we find this statement. For us, the genuine human being is the one who will reflect his or her divine light on those around himself or herself without being lost in the problems of his or her depression. Now, this is a beautiful definition of selfless service. So what are these heart virtues? At the beginning of this paper, James provides a diagram depicting them, and they are:
Dear John, we have 10 more minutes, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
they are appreciation, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, humility, and valor. Now, according to James, the 6 heart virtues are not just human concepts about ethical behavior. No, these virtues are conscious, intelligent, spiritual entities based in a higher dimension who are available to human beings at all times and always ready to serve us. When invoked, these 6 virtuous entities are activated in your vibratory field, ready to perform their service. Invoking these energies is simply a matter of recognizing their existence and turning your attention to them. Once they are active, it is up to you to apply them with loving intention. All of us can discover the deeper interpretations of these virtues by meditating on each one. This need not be a formal meditation or one that interferes with your own spiritual practices, but simply sitting quietly and reflecting on these virtues and how they can become active in your lives will be very rewarding, and at the same time will stabilize your connection with your essence. In 2007, James advanced the teaching of the heart in a much more expansive manner when a new website was launched on the internet called Event Temples. The contents of this website are devoted to the energetic heart, its virtues, and group meditations. In a paper freely available at Event Temples called Living from the Heart, James provides practical and theoretical ideas about transmitting the heart virtues in our everyday lives. At least two primary practices are explained in this paper. The first one is described as the when, which, how practice. Basically, this entails when to employ one or more virtues, which one to apply, and how to use them. Let me give you a simple example. You are at work and you notice 2 of your co-workers arguing about something. Observing this interaction, you decide to transmit the virtue or virtues that you will feel apply to the situation. This decision is the when part. Next, you need to decide which virtue or virtues to use. In this case, you feel that the virtue of understanding is appropriate. At this stage of the process, you must decide how to transmit the virtue of understanding to these 2 individuals. And in this case, you decide that it is better to do this internally. You decide that for now it's probably better to work in this way. So you align yourself with these 2 people and you visualize the virtue of understanding flowing from your heart to their energy fields. And this is an act of energy transmission and an act of service. In effect, the virtues and you are a cooperative team. This is spiritual service. And I should mention here that the when, which, how technique can also be applied to our own weaknesses, and because these are obstacles to our spiritual evolution. And you can think of this as your inner essence self serving your outer personality. Applying these 6 virtues in our daily lives is a service we can perform that has the potential to transform ourselves as well as our relationships with others. The incoming energies of the shift are aligned to the spiritual powers of love, brotherhood, and unity. Consequently, those who remain in fear, prejudice, and separativeness will have difficulty adjusting to this new frequency. This increased difference in frequencies can easily lead to intensified chaos and conflict in society. Therefore, these negative attitudes in the emotional dimension of our planet need to be transformed in order to reduce the negative effects of the shift on the world population and increase humanity's sense of unity. And a critical factor in this shift is that it's a shift in consciousness. Now, simply stated, when we transmit the virtues to others, we are not only helping them as individuals, but are also contributing to the well-being of the earth. Through the many centuries of human existence, we have polluted the collective emotional field with fear, prejudice, and hatred. This has a feedback effect on all of us, including nature. For this accumulated negativity generates an emotional atmosphere that affects billions of people around the world. As many of you are aware, an electromagnetic field encompasses the earth. According to the knowledge base of Lyricus, the collective emotional energy of humanity overflows into the Earth's magnetic field. In other words, these two fields are interconnected: humanity's emotional field and the Earth's magnetic field. And I have to back up a slide. All right, there we go. James explained that 2 United States satellites that monitor the severe weather events on our planet detected a clear disturbance in the Earth's magnetic field on September the 11th, 2001. And James quotes that these 2 satellites detected a significant spike in Earth's geomagnetic flux on September the 11th. And as you can see from this graph behind me, this flux became very unstable following that event. Here it was very smooth, and during the event and afterwards, you can see how ragged the electromagnetic field became. And this is right here. So here we have possible scientific evidence that humans affect the Earth's magnetic field. As you can see, this new behavioral intelligence of the heart has the power to decrease the negativity in the collective human field, at the same time stabilize the Earth's magnetic field. This transformed collective field will strengthen the positive emotions of humanity because it will begin to transmit these spiritual forces to every individual. And this letter is this example is an agreement with a letter dated March 16, 2008, found on the World Brotherhood Union website. And essentially that letter said that the 2009 reading program would gradually form into a collective consciousness. And here I quote from that letter, "And that can change the magnetic field of your planet in a positive way." So here we have 2 sources that confirm how our emotions affect the earth and all the other humans on our planet. We as individuals dedicated to a unification brotherhood therefore have a responsibility to manage our own emotions through the virtues of our all-loving souls. By putting our own emotional houses in order, we can then turn to serving a greater need, helping the collective human field get its house in order. As spiritual students, we have the opportunity to serve humanity by the loving expressions of our hearts and the goodwill and kindness we show to others. Thus, we can each become genuine human beings, or what Lyricus calls the sovereign integral. And I would just like to close with this few inspiring words from James, and then I promise I'll give it up and get off your stage. And here is this quote: "We are privileged to be part of the ascending planetary structure of Earth's nurturing spirit and universe importance. There is now present on Earth an amazing diversity of cosmic beings, sheathed in human instruments, but hailing from incredibly diverse sectors of the cosmos. We are here to witness and support this transcendence of Earth over the densities and entrainment of the three-dimensional intelligence and its artifacts. We are here to accelerate our spiritual growth in an order of magnitude seldom achieved elsewhere in the multiverse, seldom achieved anywhere else in the universe. This is quite an incredible statement. And this is a gift of the earth to those present on the planet at this time, and in some small measure, the motive for our compassion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,